with a dreamy, far-off look and her nose stuck in a book. Hi, internet friends! My name's Teresa, if you don't know me, and this is Teresa Love's channel. Happy New Year! Happy 2024! Wow, we've made it. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about my year in book. I can't remember exactly what my goal was, but I want to say it was 73 or 63 because I didn't want to like pressure myself too much. And I ended up pushing it up to 77 books. And then in the end, I finished with 87 books for the year of 2023. Wow. This was 20,898 pages. So now I'm gonna go through the book, talk a little bit about it. Let me know in the comments how much you read in 2023. I would love to cheer you on. Or congratulate you. Oh my goodness. And as I have said before, I will not be holding up the books because they are not all at my place that I live. I have them at 2 houses right now and there's not enough room. We just have this bookshelf and a book cart. So I can't have the 87 books that I did read, which are at my parents'. So my favorite thing to do with the new year is to start with a book that I know I'm gonna already enjoy / love. And this really starts out my year for like, I'm gonna read such amazing books and I'm gonna love it. So that's pretty much what I do. I need a chair so I can sit up straight. Ooh, if I fall off of this chair, this will be sad. Number 1, I read Crave number 4, Court by Tracy Wolff. And I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Since it is book 4 in the series, I'm not gonna tell you about what happened in that book because it was insane. But I will tell you that it is a paranormal, older YA, supernatural creatures academy, and it's super cool. And the chapter headers are hilarious, especially in book 1 and book 2. And I got my friend to read it, and she actually got back into reading because of this series, which I'm really happy about. The next book I read is Emily Winsnap and the Siren's Secret, Emily Winsnap number 4 by Liz Kessler. This is a merman / human. She is a middle grade, so she's like a 10 or something, or 9, and then there's a whole story behind that. It's a fun, easy audiobook that I tend to just pick up when I'm like, I need a quick audiobook, but I don't really want to listen to like a 20-hour audiobook. I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars. The next one I read is actually a memoir, no, autobiography. And it is Beyond the Wand, The Magic and the Mayhem of Growing Up a Wizard by Tom Felton. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. It was an audiobook, and it follows Draco, the character from Harry Potter, which I don't usually like. I'm not like that huge like Draco fan or anything. Some people can love him, and that's fine. Like, I love Harry Potter more. Dang it. So on my pause, my voice started to cough. Now I have a little frog. Ribbit. Anyway, I'm one of those girlies who tend to like Harry Potter more and like the Golden Trio. I'm not really into like Snape or Draco. But I kept hearing about this book and people kept saying how much they loved it. And I was really intrigued because I like to read autobiographies when it's about someone that I like know about. And it was really cool. It was literally about his life and how he became Draco, and then also like the whole audition process, and like it was a really interesting and cool read. 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I wanted to jump into a classic because I haven't read very many classics in my life, but I picked up The Giver because I remember watching the movie and really enjoying it. So I picked up The Giver by Lois Lowry. 5 out of 5 stars. An amazing dystopian. Yeah, it was good. You should definitely read The Giver if you are not like a huge classic person, but you want to try, because that really made me excited. It's the first trilogy of Wicca by Kate Tiernan. I read Book of Shadows first, which is book 1. Absolutely amazing. Like, I love witch books, but I was like, oh my gosh, that made me even more into witch books. The main character is actually Catholic, and she discovers there's a guy who possibly supernatural at the school, and he's into Wicca, and he gets her into it, and there's just this like whole crazy plot, and It's just so fun. It's definitely like young adult, but it was just like awesome. 5 out of 5 stars. Then since I loved The Giver so much, I jumped into The Gathering Blue, Giver number 2 by Lois Lowry. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It just wasn't as good as The Giver. I don't know, it was just kind of odd. Next, with my friend here on BookTube, her name is Bookishly Nerdy Kelsey, and we read Lost in the Moment and Found by Sheann McGuire. This is book 8 in the Wayward Children series, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Pretty much about these children that have gone to different worlds, like Alice in Wonderland, and then they come back and they're like, what do I do with my life now? And they go to this kind of like boarding school slash foster care system kind of, and the lady like helps them figure it out, and they're kind of waiting for their doors. All different types of characters, and just very, each book actually talks about each different door that they went to and then their story, and they're short and fun. Yeah, magical realism, urban fantasy. Just stop tilting. Right. So next, I've been wanting to finish the series, The Selection. I read the trilogy a while ago, and I really wanted to read the next one, especially because I had them. So I read The Heir, which is Selection number 4 by Kira Cass, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. This is actually a story that follows the characters that get together in the third trilogy, and then it's their daughter and her selection process. I just really enjoyed it. It was super fun, dystopian. Then I had to jump into The Coven, book 2 of Wicca, or Sweep is what the series is called when it's together. And this was by Kate Tiernan, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Again, amazing. Cassette Girls by Alice Arden, and I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Listen, 7 girls tied by time, 5 powers that bind, 1 curse to lock the horror away, 1 addict to keep the monsters at bay. And then it's about like the 16-year-old girl who like possibly undoes something, and it's just like super good. Young adult, supernatural, vampires, romance, witches, urban fantasy, set in New Orleans. Then I read Disney After Dark, Kingdom Keepers book 1 by Ridley Pearson. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was supposed to be, why is this thing squeaking? Okay, if my chair is squeaking, that's not my fault. Anyway, so it's supposed to be like as if Disney World was closed and stuff came alive, and then didn't enjoy it. I just was kind of like, could be a lot better. Then I jumped into one of my absolute favorites that I'm still thinking of, Verity by Colleen Hoover. Oh my gosh, this thing is gonna drive me insane. This thing squeaks. I didn't know it squeaked until I was like, oh my goodness, it's so good. I know, it's just not as cute. Sad. Change of scenery. So I'm not sure if you heard it, but there were squeaks on that stool, and I can't sit still. I have to move a little bit. That's just how I am, and I talk with my hands. Every time I was talking, it was squeaking. Verity by Colleen Hoover. Ah, I'm gonna die. Whatever. Okay. Verity by Colleen Hoover is absolutely amazing. Obsessed, insane, crazy. Like, oh my gosh, there's just so many twists and turns. One thing I would say is definitely check trigger warnings, because I know some people that like didn't check warnings and then stuff happened in it and they were really upset. So like, for sure, check the trigger warnings and make sure you're okay with all that stuff. I didn't check trigger warnings, and I was fine with it because my only trigger is really cancer. So oh, and suicide. Anyway, literally, my review. Epic, wow, intense, really crazy, so many twists. Yeah, crazy. Adult, thriller, romance, which I was happy I could do thriller because normally I can't. 5 out of 5 stars. And to calm it down a little, I jumped into a middle grade. This is Riley Bloom number 3, and this is Dreamland, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. This is by Alison Noel, and this just follows Riley, who she dies, and it's like they call it like the hereafter, and she has this like thing that she has to do to like help save souls. Then I had to jump back into Sweep because like, how could I not? So So I read book 3 called Blood Witch by Kate Tiernan of the Sweep series, and this was another 5 out of 5 stars. I just was blown away. And I've had this book on my shelf for a while. I'm pretty sure I got it when my friend was getting rid of a bunch of like short little romances, and I was like, oh, I need some short books, like if I'm doing a readathon or if I just feel like reading like a short book. Sophie and Carter by Chelsea Fine. And I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It was really interesting though, because I thought it was gonna be like a super short, like adorable romance. And there was like a lot of deep parts that I was like, wow, this is actually like making me feel things. And that really made it kind of more enjoyable for me, because it wasn't just like a fluffy romance. It was like they dealt with like hard issues together and stuff, which was cool. I read 12 to 22 POV You Wake Up in the Future by Jen Coletta. It reminded me of like 13 going on 30, like the movie. Was fun. 4.5 out of stars. Next, I read The Tea Dragon Society, book 1, which was an adorable tiny graphic novel that had these adorable dragons. I still have pictures. I'll pop them up. Like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. And they have just like such cute little things. And there was like diversity and like someone in a wheelchair, and I was like, oh my gosh, like so nice to see that. And it was just so cute. And I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. My friend Kelsey also sent me that. The next one I read is The Accidental Movie Star by Emily Evans. I give this one a 4.5 out of stars. Next I read It's Not Summer Without You, number 2 of Summer by Jenny Han. I need some water. The reality of living with a chronic illness. I just got lightheaded and I had to rest. Didn't rest for very long, because if I rest for too long, then I won't be able to film again, because I'll just be too tired. But I'm gonna do it. Okay, where was it? Oh yeah, It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. See, I can put a face on too. I just loved this book, and I can't wait to read the next one, but I don't think I own it. Then I read The Magician, Lev Grossman, and this is book 1, 4.5 stars. I was absolutely obsessed with this book. It would have been a 5-star read if toward the end, like the last 100 pages, if it didn't transition into high fantasy, which I cannot follow. Definitely Narnia meets Harry Potter, but adult. Next, I read Awake at Dawn, which is book 2 in the Shadowfall series by CC Hunter. I give this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Follow Kylie Galen, who arrived at Shadowfall's camp, and she has one burning question. Who is she? It's vampires, werewolves, shapeshifter, fairies, witches, and she's trying to figure out her identity. It's just so good. Next, I read Tiny Pretty Things. This was also a like out of the ordinary book I would read. It's a contemporary mystery thriller, and it's based on ballet dancers and like crazy stuff that happens with them and murder and stuff. I gave it 4 stars. I do want to say that for the ballet one, you definitely want to check trigger warnings, especially body dysmorphia, body shaming, and eating disorders, because that was very prevalent in the book. And if you're someone that struggles with that, I would want you to be aware rather than being like terrified or put in a bad situation because of it. Next, the book that wins the top slot of my 5 or 10 amazing books of the year, Fourth Wing. I adored it. Obsessed. Absolutely cannot stop thinking about it. Seeing a character who is disabled, who has a version of chronic illness that I have some parts of, definitely the chronic fatigue part, and her just be a total kick-butt character that just annihilates and fights, and her strength from within, and there's just like so many awesome things that happen. And she's not just like a disabled character struggling during her illness or whatever. It's like, no, she's actually like this amazing, well-rounded character that just goes through so much, and you just learn so much. And for her to start out to be a scribe, which is just like a writer, well, they're in control of like the text, the books of this world. And for her to start out like that and then to be pushed into the writer quadrant, which is dragon riders, insane. If you haven't read it, I'm sure you have, because if you're watching booktube, I'm sure you've read Fourth Wing, because there's like no one out there who hasn't right now. I made 2 of my friends read it and they became obsessed, and then they read the second one and they loved it, and I'm just telling you, it's like insanely how much they were so happy about it. Anyway, yeah, 5 stars, 5 million stars. Then I jumped into a calmer book, and it was Operation Prom Date by Cindy Madison, and this is just another short. They're called Crush books, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars because there was like so many good parts in it and I really enjoyed it. Then, because I wanted to read really, really short books, but I didn't have Kindle Unlimited at the time, I found in the Morganville Vampires, they had a bunch of tiny novellas, whether they were 20 pages or 50 pages or whatever. And I've been reading the Morganville Vampires books for a while now, and they have little novellas. Then I read Ghost Town, book 9 of Morganville Vampires, 4.5 out of stars. I enjoyed those books a lot. Fight Club, which is book 10 in the Morganville series, and I gave that one a 5 out of 5 stars. So good. Then I jumped into another cute short romance, and it was called Snowed Over by Angie Stanton. 5 out of 5 stars. Really, really enjoyed this. Next, I read Riley Boom, Whisper, number 4 by Allison Noel. 3 out of 5 stars. Then I had to jump into another sweep book because why not? Book 4 in the Wicca series, and I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. I have not rated any of those low. They're so good. I picked up 2 of book 2 and book 3 when I was with my husband on vacation, I think like last year, the year before, and I hadn't read the books, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get the first book. I couldn't find the first book anywhere, which is Moonlight, Dark Guardian by Rachel Hawthorne. And I couldn't find the first book anywhere, so I was like, I'll just listen to it on audio. So I listened to it on audio, gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It is a short werewolf story that follows certain werewolves. Kayla is adopted as a child, and she has no idea, knowing that she inherited a terrifying, thrilling gene that will change her life forever. And it's werewolves and shapeshifters. It's so fun. So I listened to that book on audio, and then I had to jump into the one I had, which is Full Moon, Dark Guardians. And this one was so cool because each book follows a different character group. So this one followed Lindsay, who they talked about in the first book, but now we get to see her story. Then I read Arrows, Laura Hughes. This is actually my friend from Bookstagram. Next, I read Of Triton, The Serena Legacy Book 2 by Anna Banks. 5 out of 5 stars. Merman, and it's just so good. I just love when human girl meets supernatural boy. Like, I just love that so much. I'm not even halfway through. I'm gonna pass out. Okay, I gotta speed this up. Due to my condition, I might have to talk faster. Next, I read that is way too fast. Next, I read The Crown, which is Selection, book 5 by Kira Cass. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. This is the last book in the Selection series, wrapping up the story of the daughter. Then I read Playing with Fire, Little Secrets by Emily Blake. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read The Boyfriend Bet, book 2, 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is just a YA romance by Chris Cannon. Next, I read Sunset Ranch by A. Destiny. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. I just did not like the whole so much stuff about the farm and the ranch. It's like a short book and there was too much stuff about that. Next, I read Dark of the Moon, which was book 3 in the Dark Guardian series. So another werewolf one, and it follows a different character, which is really cool. 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Origins, Vampire Diaries, Stefan's Diaries, book 1 by L.J. Smith. 5 out of 5 stars. This is super good. I love learning the lore behind characters, and this actually follows Damon and Stefan from Vampire Diaries, and it is before they get turned and then when they get turned. and it's like Stefan's diary. Next I read Wonder Woman Warbringer Decon Icons #1. I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. It's just by Lee Bardugo, and it's a Wonder Woman story. Then from Shadow Falls, I jumped back into them, and I read Taken at Dusk, Book 3 by CC Hunter, and I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, by Knock 'em Out series by Lucy, Knock 'em Out series. I gave this a 4.5 stars. This was a adult romance and like enemies to lovers and super fun. You're the best. I just told my husband that it's not going super well. I'm halfway through filming and I keep getting lightheaded and it's making me sad. And he said, "You're doing great, baby. Most healthy people are too lazy to even put a camera up." Next I read Princess in Waiting, which is book 4 by Meg Cabot. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna finish this, continue with the series. Leave down in the comments how many books you read in 2023. Question of the video: what did you set your goal for of books of 2023? I'm pretty sure my goal was 63, then I upped it to 73, then I ended up upping it to 77. Then I jumped into Awakening, book 5 by Kate Tierman of the Sweep series. You know, 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I jumped into Charm, Crave, book 5 by Tracy Wolff. It's just 5 out of 5 stars. That's just an amazing series. Wake, book 1 of Water Song by Amanda Hocking. And this was my first Amanda Hocking book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Loved it so much. Next, I read Last Breath, The Morganville Vampires, book 11 by Rachel Kane. 5 out of 5 stars. How can I not? Oh my gosh, I'm getting there. This is the time that I jumped into my first Casey West book ever. And I read Lucky in Love. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely adore her writing. Like, I think I jumped into it randomly and then I ended up reading like half of it. I think I read it physically. So it was going to be part of a readathon I was doing, but then the readathon prompts changed because I messed up and I had to jump into a readathon. So I was like, okay, I can't finish it, so I'm going to like stop it for now. I even put it down, read a whole bunch of other books, and then continued reading it toward the end of the month. And I just was like so in love with her characters and story, and just like it reminded me of like a Sarah Dessen book, which I absolutely adore. And I just was like, I want to read all of Casey West books now, and I want to collect all of her books. Like I was just like super like excited about it. Just cute, fluffy romance, but deep issues, and there was just like so much stuff that just was like, this is so good. My husband just said to me last night, which I don't know if this is exactly true, but he was like, I think you should just keep buying books, and one day we'll have a library and we're gonna have a book room for all of that, and you're gonna just be overjoyed with it. And I'm like, no, I said I'm gonna like read books and get rid of them. And he was like, no, you should just keep buying books. I'm like, it's just really sweet. But it's also like, I have over 700 books. I don't need more if I don't get rid of more, you know? Like, unhauling is a good idea. Yay, that book got me excited. Now I have some more energy. What do you think, Beast? I think you're doing a great job. Oh, thanks. Yeah, when I get lightheaded, I get delirious. You want to subscribe to my channel? Pretty fun time. Yeah, and we're gonna have more fun time because I'm adding my husband, which is hilarious, to some videos. Go back on the subject. Okay, next I read Blue Bloods by Melissa De La Cruz, and this is book 1 in the series. It was Gossip Girl meets vampires. There were parts that I loved and parts that I had to reread over because I was confused. Next I read Deadly Little Secret, Touch #1 series by Lori Farah Schultz. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Yeah, mysterious new boy moves into town. Goes to her high school. Yeah. Fun. Supernatural YA. Yeah, it was good. It was really good. Then I read Shadowland by Alison Noel, 4 out of 5 stars. Blood Bond, book number 10 by Helen Hart. We have 5 out of 5 stars. This is a crazy series of, it's adult paranormal. Then after a spicy, I like to read a middle grade because it calms you down. Tales from a Not So Fabulous Life, Dark Diaries, book number 1. This is also a book that I read. I read it while, okay, so with my condition, I have POTS, chronic fatigue. I just filled a whole SD card with my video, which is gonna be real fun to edit. So with my condition, I'm not really sure exactly what happens in my body, but this is the results. I end up feeling really bad vertigo where I can't walk, and weakness where I can't walk, and chest pain, and I can be down, which I mean having to lay down flat for like anywhere from a day to recently it was a week. So before we moved here, I was down in July, I'm pretty sure, because I remember I got better July 4th in the evening at 8:23 p.m., which is very odd. Anyway, it literally just flips and I'm fine. It's so weird. So at that time, before that I had picked up Dork Diaries, book 1, and Dork Diaries. Okay, so this is book 2, and the reason I wanted to show it to you is because this is a middle grade by Rachel Renee Russell. And the way this, focus, thank you. The way this middle grade is, it's written in short diary form. My bookmark. Short diary format. And it also has, as you can tell, pictures. So when you are feeling very sick and you don't want to necessarily, well, I was listening to an audiobook too. I was doing that. But you want to be able to still read. But a book with print like this is not really going to be good for your vertigo, especially when you're getting vertigo when you're laying down. Although it's a little better when you're laying down. So I picked up Dork Diaries, book 1, and best decision at that time, because in all honesty, I was trying to stay positive. I had no idea how long this was going to last. I needed help with everything. I even thought about asking my mom to bring my walker because I was like, I can't even get up to go to the bathroom. It was so scary. And there were so many emotions going on in my head that I really just needed that distraction. And I know I watched a lot of TV, but I also read this book. And I really just enjoyed the time reading it and kind of hearing about someone's life that was just crazy in a middle school way. And yeah, it was just fun. And then I decided, I was like, I also want to collect these. Like, they're fun to read physically, and it really helped me through that time. So I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. I put this quote, "Always let your inner dork shine through." Then I jumped into Blood Bond, book 11 by Helen Hart, and Blood Blonde, book 12 by Helen Hart. And those are both the adult paranormal vampires. Then I met a author a few years ago at the Book Fest, and she had these werewolf books that were called, like this one's A Werewolf Wears Prada, the San Francisco Wolf Pack. That's like a big city in California. And I was like, oh, I bet this is kind of interesting because I know about it. And I read that book and it was a 5 out of 5 stars. I was pleasantly surprised. The audio, I did audio because it was a little bit smaller print. But I just really enjoyed it. It was just a really good book. And I also read that book while I was down too. So it definitely was another thing that made me feel distracted. The next book I read was The Watcher, which is book 1 of The Chosen by Ro Morgan. Actually, she is my friend on Bookstagram, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. This is like a 40-something-year-old woman who is turned into a vampire, and then she has to like try to stay away from her life and like see how it is when she's like a vampire at that age. It's really interesting. Oh, that is a adult. Next, for an anthology, I read Vampires Never Get Old, Tales with a Fresh Bite. This has a lot of authors. Due to the anthology, I don't like rating the book as one. I like to read each story and then rate it that way, because it's not really fair to be like, I rate this whole thing 2 stars when it's like, no, you know? All right, 7 Nights for Dying by Tessa Granton. I gave 2 out of 5 stars. The Boys from Blood River by Rebecca Ronhorst. I gave 4 out of 5 stars. My Senior Sex by Julie Morphy. I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I loved that one, which makes me want to read a Julie Morphy book. The Boy and the Bell by Heidi Helig. I DNF'd, so 0 stars. Guidebook for Newly Sired Desi Vampire by Samhara Hamed. 3 out of 5 stars. In Kind by Kayla Whaley. 4 out of 5 stars. Vampires Never Say Die by Zorida Cordova and C. Parker. I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed that, which is funny because that's who like wrote the book. Bestiary by Laura Ruby. 3 out of 5 stars. Mirrors, Windows, and Selfies by Mark Hiroshima. I DNF'd to that, so it didn't really matter. House of Black Sapphires by Danielle Clayton. 5 out of 5 stars, which I was really happy about because I have The Bells by her, and I've really been wanting to read that, and that was the same author. And First Kill by V.E. Schwab, which is hilarious because as I was reading that book, I was like, that sounds so familiar. Why does that sound so familiar? And then I realized I watched the TV show on Netflix. So for my birthday, my husband got me the Kindle Scribe, which I'm obsessed with, and I love it so much. And I got Kindle Unlimited for 3 months. So I started reading some Kindle Unlimited books. So we have License to Bite, which I had book 1 physically, so I read that physically first, by Carrie Pulcleton. 5 out of 5 stars. So good. It was set in New Orleans, which is always so cool. And the governor's daughter, Jane, is used to getting what she wants, and she ends up running into a vampire. So it was so funny. License to Bite was hilarious. It's an adult paranormal romance, and it was just so funny. And I was really sad after I finished it because it was, 5-star. And I was like, I am never going to be able to find this book again. Like, I'm never going to be able to find book 2. And then I finished it. Did I read it on Kindle? I think I typed it into my Kindle randomly, and it said it was on Shift Happens in New Orleans. Nocturnes, it's called. Book 2 was on Kindle Unlimited, and I see the whole series is on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm like, okay, that's so fun. I'm gonna read those. Next, I read The Jacoby, book 2 which is Beastly Bones. This is another series that my husband got me, and I've been reading a few of them because, happy. By William Ritter. 4 out of 5 stars. It's Sherlock Holmes meets like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Next, I read How the King of Elfham Learned to Hate Stories from the Folk Air series, 3.5 by Holly Black. I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. It was really cool to learn about Cardins? I know everyone's like obsessed with him, so I feel bad butchering his name. But it was just a really interesting background and back lore to learn about like how he became what he became. Because I knew a little bit from the other books, but yeah, it was cool. My friend also got me that book a few years ago. Then I just had to read this one again. Not again, but I had to jump into it. The Beauty and the Werewolf, the San Francisco Wolf Pack. This is book 2, paranormal romance, spicy. I think I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. We're almost there, guys, yay! Next, I have this book that my friend Abigail gave me, and I had been wanting to read it for so long, but for some reason, I kept on thinking it was gonna be really, really, really creepy. But it was not. I really enjoyed it. 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's like this mystery thing going on where she wakes up in a hospital and a bunch of her friends are dead. Next, I read Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Loved it. 4.5 stars. A little bit too much war talk and some fantasy aspects that confused me, so I didn't give it 5 stars. And I even, get this, I even had to, while I was reading it, which I think I was listening to some of it on audio at night, and I was like, it was hard to fall asleep when I did that because my heart was like racing because it was intense. So I ended up not putting it down, but at the same time reading Listen to Your Heart by Casey West, because I was like, this is just too intense. I can't handle the intensity. I just need to calm down. And then I was like, I'll just read this cute little romance. And then it was like the perfect, like, oh, back and forth, back and forth. And then I was like, okay, nice. But 4.5 stars. Next, I picked up The Pop Star and the Devil by Ricktock Ross. I gave this a 4 to 5 stars. This is just a short novella based on Taylor Swift's life, as if she would have made a deal with the devil to become this like really popular person. So it was cool to see all the like Taylor Swift song lyrics and like quotes and stuff, and I'm kind of curious if Taylor Swift would want her to write like that though, because it sounded kind of bad. And then I finished Listen to Your Heart, which was a 5 out of 5 stars. It was just a cute romance. YA. Next on Kindle Unlimited, I read Shame on You, Fool Me Once, #1 by Tara Sivek. 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was good. There was like funny parts and there was like different things in it. Then I read Moment of Love, Life, and the List by Casey West, and this is a 4 out of 5 stars. Again, cute, but got me kind of emotional, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm really tired. Alright, from Kindle Unlimited, I read Dipped in Holly, Nick and Holly by Dania Islay. This was just straight smut. I did not realize it, and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I even put in my review that the smut just wasn't for me, and then I found myself really liking the ending when they were just being cute. And that was, I read that because Christmas time was starting and I needed to read some Christmas books. So now here's a bunch of Christmas books. So we have Dipped in Holly, and then now we have Call Me Mrs. Miracle, which is Debbie Macomber's book, and I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. Just love those Debbie Macomber Christmas books. Angel type of thing. Then I read To Aspen by N.J. Gray. That one was so good. I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. That was on Kindle Unlimited too, and I wanted to read her other books for sure, or their other books. It must be a girl. Next, I read A Royal Christmas Fairy Tale because I was doing a readathon, like a short one, and my friend had picked one for her TBR, the Royal Christmas Fairy Tale, and it said steal a book from their TBR. So I picked this one. It was 5 out of 5 stars. It was such a cute Hallmark Christmas movie music. Hallmark Christmas book. I loved it. And on Kindle Unlimited, I read The Fake Holiday, Sugar Mountain #1 by Amy Knight. I definitely want to read the next books in these series because this was so good, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Super good. Fake dating, enemies to lovers, Christmas themed, and I loved Clover, the main character. Then I read another Debbie Macomber book, Where Angels Go, and that was a 4 out of 5 stars. Then on Kindle Unlimited, I read The Mistletoe Bet, Strawberry Hollow, Book 1 by Maren Moore. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. It was a cute, simple romance, reminded me of a Christmas movie, but there was a spice level of 3 out of 5. Next, I read Holiday Games, Snowed in Holiday Novella by Kate Wine. This was 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this. My favorite detail was finding the kitten under the porch and bringing it in to take care of it in the snowstorm. So it just made it adorable. It was definitely 4 out of 5 spice though. Next on Kindle Unlimited, the last one for the year of the Kindle Unlimited, I read Holidays Cookies, and I gave this a 3.5 stars. And these are all just like short romance novellas. It started out funny, and the girl had some personality traits that I could see in me. And then Grumpy vs. Sunshine, but it felt rushed, and they did not pass to collect $200, and then the epilogue and 20 years later, and wow. the spice was definitely 4 out of 5. Holy cannellini breads. That's crazy. Wowzer. Wowzer. That was my first video of 2024. I am so happy you stayed. I have no idea how long this is gonna be. I'm hoping I can cut out the pauses and the mishaps and maybe keep some funny parts in, because I'm honestly 2024, I'm just all about being real and letting myself shine through my YouTube, and I'm goofy, I'm silly, and I make random noises, and that's my personality. So that might be what you're gonna get this year. Yeah. Remember, you can find magic wherever you look. Sit back and relax. All you need is a book. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next videos. Happy New Year, and have a great beginning of your year. Bye!